today we're having a customer appreciation day. And Rachel was so kind to come and see what we had to offer and kind of just hang out with us, which is really cool. So without further ado, Rachel Ruffin,
hey,
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Honored to be here.
Well, thank you very much. I can always say this, like when I get started with these, like we were just talking and the energy is just goes back and forth. But like once the cameras get rolling, I always get so nervous.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like one of the biggest nervous Nellies ever.
I think that's all of us. Like, stiffen up. Yeah.
Well, like just recently or just beforehand, it was like the flow is nice. And then the cameras come and it always makes me a little nervous, but it's okay. Tell me a little bit about your backstory. How'd you get started?
Sure.
Are you from the city? What's up?
Oh, yeah. So I grew up in a small southwest suburb called Summit, which is right outside Clearing, Chicago, the Clearing neighborhood. It's probably about like a 5 to 8 minute drive from Midway Airport.
Nice.
So I'm from Summit. A lot of times people don't know that town because it's so small.
Okay.
So a lot of times I will say Clearing, but actually it's Summit. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
I got my start in real estate with construction. I was a project manager for a couple of builders for, I want to say like almost 10 years.
Oh, really?
And at the end of that career, I decided this is too stressful. I don't want to work for other people. And I just felt like I would be really good at, real estate. And I had a close family friend who was a top producer already. And I had talked to her about it.
Yeah.
And she was at Executive Realty Group already.
Okay.
And she told me, yeah, you do it, get your license, and I'm going to, mentor you. And that's what I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was a while ago. It was like a long time ago.
So I guess, too, having someone that was already in the business, like giving you the little guidance, that probably made such the difference your first year.
Oh, my gosh. I'll tell you. When I was at the construction firm, actually both of those things were critical.
Oh, well, let me ask this too.
Okay.
How'd you even get in with the construction?
Oh, I was an office manager.
Okay.
So
I
I was like manning the office, and then, I wanted to do more. I just felt I was really like intrigued by just the construction process in general, just running the jobs. And I would see like what the project management team was doing, and I wanted to get involved. So they had created an assistant position called project coordinator that supported the project management.
Yeah.
So then I moved to that.
Yeah.
And then I did that for about a year, and one of the project managers was terminated, and then they promoted me to take his place.
Cool.
And then, just went from there. Yeah.
Got it.
But the whole time I was in that job, I feel like at that time, like women in construction, it was like a smaller space. Now you're really seeing like a lot of women in construction.
The industry? Yeah.
You're really starting to see it grow. But at the time I'm like, I hate this job. Even though it was interesting, I'm like, what am I doing here? I feel like this is not my purpose. And
Totally.
I'd be like praying about it, talking about it to myself. And then finally, like one day I had this thought about like, I need to get my real estate license.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my mentor. I was at her home having dinner one day. We talked about it. And then I was like, yeah, that's totally what I'm going to do. Once I got my real estate license, I realized that's why I've been at that construction job for so long. It's like basically was grooming me for the real estate industry.
Yeah.
And I got like a completely different, well-circled view of real estate that I wouldn't have otherwise had.
Totally.
And then having my mentor me, one of the hardest things, the biggest thing with real estate is like, how do you get business? How do you get business?
Yeah,
now?
that's with a lot of industries, right?
And how do you maintain it? Right?
100%.
And so having someone that just shows you that process so you don't have to start from scratch, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, that was super critical. And then having the construction background, that really kind of just, So
yeah, I think that is so even for us, it was so difficult to kind of understand how to cultivate relationships.
Yeah.
obviously keep them as part of that, but like really understand how to be like full circle with it and not just be the creatives that, make the things, but like actually be business people that other business people can actually relate to and have a conversation with, and not be like the up in the air dreamer, because a lot of people, you need to be like solid and like come articulate and like really present yourself as a business person. So I can only imagine how helpful that was. I wish we had more of that.
Well, and like with constructions, there's so many different facets of the job. Like each job could have maybe like 25 different phases within one job. Okay, but now you're running 30 jobs in the same month.
Oh, wow.
And with real estate, it's not rocket science, but like there's all these different facets of the actual real estate transaction. Yeah. And if you don't know how to be organized,
I was thinking that.
And if you don't know how to be a good problem solver, because one of the biggest things you have to know how to do is just be like really good at problem solving, because every day there's like different struggles and every single transaction is different. So like you just have to be able to pivot and be like a critical thinker.
Be like water.
Well,
it's it kind of goes back to, we were talking beforehand about the idea of being able to just like be let go. Like you're like, oh, when I hire someone, I just want them to like do their things. I don't want to manage.
I don't want to be a helicopter.
Yeah, totally. So that's kind of what made me think about that as you were saying it. So going farther into real estate, what do you think when you're talking to people about buying and selling, what are some of the things that you see that people are most like fundamentally getting wrong about the process, about what they're doing, about even potentially like hiring the right agent? Like, what are they missing?
Okay, so
that's a fully
loaded question. And you have different types of clients. You have the first-time home buyers. You have the experienced buyer. You have the person that thinks they know, but they haven't sold or bought anything in 20 years, So with each person, there has to be a process. And you have to, I would say, let's start with buyers. Buyers, they need to basically figure out what they want. And how do they do that? A lot of times people don't know what they want, and you have to guide them. You guide them by asking questions. One of the first things I tell people to do is like write a list of all your musts, all your,
you
must-haves.
Good schools, 3 bedrooms, etc.
Location, things you can't change, and then figure out what are you willing to compromise, because most people don't have enough money to build a complete custom home. So it's not going to be exactly what they want, but they can customize it in time, and they can make it their own. So figure out what you're willing to compromise, figure out what you're not willing to compromise. Make sure you get approved beforehand. Even if you're not looking to buy like that year, what if you've got some things on your credit that are going to take some time to clear up?
100%. Something you didn't realize that was outstanding or something to that effect?
Yeah. So the good thing about the people that I work with, the lenders, they are really good at cultivating those relationships, and they don't care about just having the transaction like right then and there. So they're going to coach my client on how to fix their credit if it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
With that, do you tend to use... I know some people I know, like they have like their little group of lenders. Are you like... the kind of person like, once I found someone I like, I want to know more, like I want to send them my business because I can trust that they're going to get the job done?
Oh yeah. We're going to kind of veer off with this answers.
That's fine.
I would say a quarter to a third of my business comes from my service partners. And
references.
Service partner referrals are great, It's like, But, okay, so I will work with anybody. I'm not married to, like, if my client doesn't feel comfortable working with my team, that's fine. He or she doesn't know my team. So I am happy to work with whoever they have. But I highly recommend working with the people in my team, because I've been working with them for a long time, and I know they get the job done. Yeah. So
the synergy is there. That's what... For us, I love being able to refer people to other people and be like, I like the way they work, if you like the way I work. And I think that to me is probably my favorite way to do business, where where I'm almost like a point guard in basketball, where it's like, oh, I know I got a guy for you. I got a guy for you. I got a guy for you.
It's the same.
Or a girl, whatever. But
And they will trust when there's a circle of trust when you have the referral system going, you know?
well, if you refer somebody, I always think, and they do a killer job, like that is some of the best, just some of the best, like look on you. Like, oh, I know the people. Don't worry, I got you. Even if it's not, I'm getting the benefits, and you are. Like, people don't forget that.
No, they don't. They don't.
Right.
Yeah, it's important. So that's another thing that's key, cultivating those service partner relationships. But you were asking me as far as like with buyers.
Yeah.
So I think I pretty much answered that question as far as just like making sure they know what's on their credit, making their, figuring out their wants, their needs.
Totally, yeah.
And then as far as like sellers, it comes down to that too, because I would say probably like 60 to 70% of people that are selling have to sell their current home to buy the next.
Okay.
Well, like, we're not going to put your property on the market until we know you can buy the next property, because maybe your home isn't going to like, give you enough money
to buy the next.
So we need to know what, how can we plan for the future?
Right.
Making sure you provide your seller with a net breakdown of what their estimated proceeds will be, what they're going to walk away from. And then actually, I didn't talk about this with the buyers, but I always do, I try to look at the trends for the neighborhoods and let them know, hey, this is where the neighborhood trend is going. You want to purchase in an area that's continuing to appreciate, right?
Yeah, on the come up.
Yeah, and you want to know, whatever you buy, if you bought today, could you sell tomorrow? You don't want to get stuck in something that is going to be a pain in the ass to sell.
Totally.
And I feel like a lot of times people aren't buying defensively. They're just on the offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to think defensively when you're buying, because people, I would say the average person moves every 5 to 7 years, depending on, people get married, people get divorced, people downsize, people unfortunately pass away.
Right.
People move because of jobs. So life is continuously changing, and you have to be able to pivot and know this is something that is not going to be a hard sell. And if I have to sell, it's, I can do it.
So, how you're saying that there's trends, right? You're trying to get places on the upward trend of being popular or being an in place to buy. Does there become a point where it's you're on the back end of that swing, and now you bought in at the right time, but now it's everything has been just pushed up so high that you now a bunch of the buyer base is gone? Is that an issue as well, you think?
Honestly, I haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah.
I don't think anything got too crazy when the prices were just getting out of hand. Yeah. Back in 07, 08-ish, 06. But so I'm not really seeing that now. But there are certain areas, let's say if the buyer doesn't have a huge purchasing, a lot of purchasing power, and they're more in a lower income community. Well, those neighborhoods, they might just be more stagnant, and in those markets, sometimes you will see that more, than not. But I haven't really had anybody. I mean, this was just a couple years ago. So I haven't had anybody that's looking to sell yet that was buying just a couple years ago, right? But that is a great question.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Only time will tell.
I did struggle with that though. I did not feel comfortable telling people, bid $50,000 over. I'm hey, you're actually overpaying.
I couldn't imagine being someone that was trying to buy and
hard.
I'm gonna give them $50,000 in cash or $20,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I would have been what?
Yeah, no, it was hard. And, it was so discouraging. During that time, I was submitting 7, 8, 9 offers before literally one would stick. And let's say I was working with 7 or 8 buyers at the same time.
Yeah.
So imagine submitting that many offers.
Right.
On a regular basis. It's crazy.
How does that work though? How did you feel having to tell these people sorry. You
Honestly, well, it's just the reality of the situation. And so here's the thing, like sometimes it's worth it and sometimes it's not. And a lot of times people were walking away from properties. And it just makes your job harder, and you just have to find the best property for them. Yeah. The goal is to maximize buyer savings and seller profits.
Okay.
So
yeah, though. I mean, that's a great way to, I feel like that's a must in that situation, because it's sometimes it feels like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Then how do you, with everything that's changing in the real estate or in real estate constantly, how do you stay up to date with all the information that's coming in? Yeah. Are there some resources that you might use that, like, if someone's starting out, that would be just like good advice for them?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, always stay up to date with what your association is doing. I'm a member of Chicago Association of Realtors, and they always have tons of great information. They have tons of great events, that are super informative. So I always go to those kind of things, staying up to date with National Association of Realtor news and events, taking different kinds of classes, because there's all sorts of like certifications you can get within the real estate community, whether it's like, expert negotiator, expert listing agent, or a short sale and foreclosure expert. Like there's all different types, you know, and then also keeping up with like the top producers in the industry and having like, I would say just like a really good network.
Yeah, rapport with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back
mastermind. I call it like mastermind group.
Your mastermind group?
Yeah. So, and that's good, because I feel like you want to be working with people that are doing better than you're doing, because then it's like you're striving to continue to be better than what you are.
It's like being the sum of like the 5 people you hang out with, or the sum of the 5 people that you work with the most. It's like, if they're better, how are you in the room? But if they are, good, because they'll
I'm a sponge. I'm going to soak it all up.
Yeah.
I'm going to soak it up.
I feel very similar to that. Like just again, going back to this of trying to become more of a business person. It's like soaking up as much as I can, getting in front of everyone, shaking hands, kissing babies, as Memo and I call it.
Right,
like, I want to learn everything, because I don't know nearly enough.
Yeah, I feel like in this industry, every day you can learn something new. There's anything that can and will happens in the world of real estate.
Yeah, I bet.
It does.
I bet.
I'm like, wait a second. It's like, I haven't heard of that yet. Okay. Yeah.
So for us, we think social media is obviously here to say we think that video content, more specifically, is something that you have to be getting involved with, because if not, unfortunately, it's becoming your digital, fortunate for us, but it's becoming your digital card. It's people I think now will be, instead of going to your website or even looking you up, like they're going to your social media handle, and they want to see that you have a good footprint, that you do have a following, because again, if you have a nice following, you're going to be able to reach more people and ultimately sell more. Yeah. So with all that being said, what are some of your thoughts on it? Do you think, you're doing a good job on it? Do you think you need a better job?
Oh, yeah. I definitely need to do a better job. Social media is not my strong suit, but totally. I definitely understand and do know what the importance is of it. Real estate, we're in the business to connect with people and to build relationships. Social media has basically created an avenue for people to connect with you without actually like being in the same room with you.
Yeah, they're your soldiers.
Which is amazing. Yeah, and the thing is, I just feel like, people are window shopping more now. And so if they can basically like get to know you through your social media, then I think that's amazing. I just need to do more of it.
We always call it the warm handshake before you even meet. There's always a layer of like, I don't know who this person is, but if you're like consistent on your social media platforms, they already feel like people, or like your customer base kind of already feel like they know you. And then that like thin veil has been removed.
Softens it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's nice to get to know like who they're gonna do business with. You know, so they feel like they know you before they've even like interacted with you.
And two, it gives you an ability, in my opinion, to like show off that you are actually an expert.
Yeah.
Because at least for me, I like to know that people like really know their shit.
Right.
And if you don't, like, I can find that out pretty quickly nowadays. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Whether you are worth of salt or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's here.
I think for sure. I agree with you 100%.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct answer.
Yeah.
If you haven't been using social media as much as you like, does it come from a place of maybe having concerns behind it, and or maybe just something where you're hesitant in putting yourself out there in that sort of, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll be honest. Right now I just feel like I'm overwhelmed, and I find myself working in my business and not on it.
Oh, so we need to get you that team.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. But making videos, there is an aspect of it that does kind of cause me anxiety a little bit.
Well, if it's any constellation, me too.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of it.
I feel kind of a little like awkward, but it's like exercising and lifting weights, right?
Totally.
It's like you start with the 5-pound weight, then you move up to the 10-pound weight. So.
I said the name wrong of your real estate agency
or
your brokerage at the very beginning. So that if that's any...
That's okay.
That's any indication of how nervous I get. I think it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing about being nervous is leaning into it because, again...
Yeah.
Or I haven't even mentioned this. It goes into this idea of being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, at the end of the day, that's going to win out.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we want to work with people that we feel we know or we
That's
like.
Right.
And
yeah.
There's something about, like, you being nervous that I think people, like, can connect with.
Yeah. I agree with you in that regard. Yeah. I just, the only other concern I have, I feel like, is safety. There's a part of me that doesn't like, I'm not one that's going to be sharing what I'm doing at that specific moment.
Nor do you have to, in my
so
opinion.
Like, I think like that is a concern, sharing certain aspects or, stuff like that. But yeah.
I think the real play in social media is the pillar, because Memo and I talk about pillars, right?
Yeah.
We think there's about 3 pillars of your social media brand as a whole that you should be doing.
Yeah.
And we think education is like
key.
The foundation that lays your whole house.
Yeah.
Like that is the arm. And then that doesn't need to bring in where I'm at or what I'm doing.
Right.
You need to have a little of that because at the end of the day, you're not a robot.
Right.
And if we want to go back to the idea of authenticity, it's like we need to authentically see that, hey, maybe you like fishing.
Right.
Maybe not you, but maybe you like to work out. Maybe
something.
Whatever it is. And that's like in the pie, it's 10%.
Right.
And your education's 70, and then 20's, whatever else we decide. And so I think with that concern, obviously there's always an answer to everything, but that's how we see it. It's like you don't always have to be so, this is me, I'm working out and all that. Like,
oh, totally.
You're not
that's
an
not
influencer.
Me. Like, that's not me, but
you're a business.
Yeah.
So act like a business and give me some value. Right. That's what I want. Like, I don't need your...
Yeah.
It's just a stroke of an ego, in my opinion, sometimes. I'm calling people out.
Yeah.
Not specifically.
Yeah,
I'm getting wild.
Yeah, I could see
You're
that.
like,
It's just not my style. It's for somebody that's their style, that's fine. For me, it's not really my thing, but
Fair enough. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like if you used social media consistently, and how in your mind would you be getting success from it? And I know that's like kind of a technical question, but I think there are some ways you could.
I even though I'm not really active on my social media, I still get business out of it because it is professional. Like if people at least go to my social media page, they can see that I know what I'm doing and I'm a professional, even though I'm not like posting like every day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say if I was using it more often, I for sure would get, more leads from it.
Yeah.
You know, I think the bulk of my business, no matter what, is still going to come from my referrals and existing client basis. But that just would give me more business. And so I definitely need to cultivate that.
You need.
Yeah, I need to get it together.
No, you're already doing something that works and you're doing something right. So if anything, it's only just something to add to the next level. Yeah, like you figured it out before it was necessary.
Right.
I think since you have such a good base, I think it's not, while I think it's always going to be important because I think it will shift. And you could be one day like, where'd all my leads go? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that happens. But I think you've figured it out. But
it's good to have all the different avenues because you don't want like all your business just to be like in one source. So it's good to have like all these different, and you have to generate really new business. Good point. Like new business, it isn't the referrals.
We went so heavy in real estate our first couple of years, it really blocked off from us doing some of these more marketing and branding things. And it's like when we get back to it, like that's where we started. Like we started at an agency that was like marketing and branding for Lyft, for like big other companies. We just kind of fell into real estate because it was like, it was 2020, COVID happened, and it was like, well, real estate's still going. Like, let's.
Yeah, we were essential workers. So.
So it's like, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, more than anything, I'm thinking we're gonna wrap this up because they're about time.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to leave some time for you to talk to the camera, say anything you need to say. Where can we find you? How, what? I don't know. Take it away.
Let me see. What do I say? Okay. Well, again, I'm Rachel Ruffin with Executive Realty Group.
She remembers.
I'm like, did I remember? I forgot my own company. That's bad. Most of my business is in Chicago. I did live in Naperville for close to 18 years, so I do some stuff in DuPage County. But, you can find me on social media at Rachel Ruffin Solutions, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel.
Make sure you edit that.
Rachel, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being a customer. And we can't wait to continue to build this relationship.
I can't wait to do more production with you because we've got a bunch of things lined up. So
let's go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Peace.
Bye. Thanks.